Mr. President, it was 1986, a third of a century ago. 6 United States senators wrote a letter to the Office of Technology Assessment, the office then charged with providing technical and scientific advice to Congress. I asked unanimous consent that their letter be appended to my remarks.
Without objection.
Thank you. These 6 United States senators were troubled by testimony they had heard about climate change in 3 separate hearings of the Senate's Environment and Public Works Committee. So they wrote, and I quote the letter here, "The testimony convincingly portrayed a fundamentally altered planet with shifts in ocean circulation and climate zones, altered precipitation and storm patterns, more frequent and extreme weather events such as droughts, monsoons, and lowland floods. Individually and collectively," the letter goes on, "these changes bring about others, ranging from disruption of forest, crop, and ocean productivity to shifts in populations." Witnesses before the committee testified that the Earth is now committed to a substantial greenhouse warming. This is still their letter from 1986. The Earth is now committed to a substantial greenhouse warming, projected to be about 2 degrees centigrade, as well as an ozone layer depletion. Well, that was quite a prediction. Who were these 6 senators? Quentin Burdick, Democrat from North Dakota. Max Baucus, Democrat from Montana. George Mitchell, Democrat from Maine. Robert Stafford, Republican from Vermont, the chairman then of the committee. Dave Durenberger, Republican of Minnesota. And Rhode Island's Republican Senator John Chafee. You cannot help but be struck that the prediction back then by these 6 senators is now our reality. Everything they predicted is happening. The scientists they listened to had it right. Global temperatures have already risen by around 1 degree Celsius, and we're headed to over 2 degrees Celsius of global warming by the end of the century. Their grim predictions that we now live with as fact motivated these 6 senators to ask the Office of Technology Assessment for policy options that, as they said, could lead to the stabilization and minimization of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, end quote. Why did they want these policy options? They wanted to learn about policy options because, as they continued in their letter, quoting again, "Congress must soon begin to weigh the alternatives facing the United States and other nations. Due to the likelihood that legislation will be considered by the committee early in the next Congress, it would be most helpful if this analysis could be undertaken without delay." Without delay. Well, since then, the Republicans have demolished the Office of Technology Assessment. That office no longer exists, and Republicans have relentlessly blockaded legislation to address carbon emissions and have trafficked in phony climate denial, all while accepting hundreds of millions of dollars of political contributions from the fossil fuel industry. So today, 5 of those 6 states are represented again, having a reunion on the Senate floor. I see Senator Tester from Montana here. I will yield to him now. He will also be joined by Patrick Leahy of Vermont, Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, Angus King of Maine, and of course, I now yield to Jon Tester of Montana, taking the position of his predecessor, Max Baucus, who, by one of the weird coincidences of the Senate, I just passed coming out of the trolley. Senator Tester, the floor is yours.